Yeah, it was in the spring of 1967. I was in the Vietnam War. This was before we were officially involved in Cambodia. In fact, Cambodia was supposed to be off limits. And we had this mission one morning. Went out to the aircraft, and the pilots and the crew were told to go to this room and briefing room and go over the plans. That was kind of unusual. Usually, the pilots just told what was happening. Well, in the briefing room, there was just the two pilots and the gunner and me, and one officer was filling us in and bringing out these charts and stuff, and said, "You guys are going to grid coordinates such and such, and you got this mission, special mission. You're gonna drop these guys off. You're not supposed to talk about it." And so I looked down there and I said, "Well, sir, that looks like the parrot speak. That looks like Cambodia." "No, McDonald, that's grid coordinates so and so." I go, "Well, it looks," and they looked at me and they go, "No, we're not allowed to go to Cambodia. We're going to grid coordinates so and so." I said, "Okay." So I figured that's the game. So we get in the helicopter and we take off and we head for a place that's close by the border of Cambodia in Vietnam. And we pick up um, this group of guys, men. Some were wearing Levi's, some were wearing odd fatigues. Nothing looked like it was American. There was no tags, there was no dog tags, there was even a strange assortment of weapons. One guy had an Israeli Uzi, another guy had an AK-47, obviously from Eastern Bloc countries. So they had different weapons from all over the world. So they didn't have any. They didn't have any American weapons. They didn't have dog tags. They didn't have American uniforms, and they didn't say a darn word. They got in the helicopter. They didn't want to talk. No conversation. Nothing. They were just straight. And so I kept my mouth shut. And we took them and their ammo, and we started to fly into Cambodia, which we weren't flying into Cambodia. We were actually flying into grid coordinates such and such. Well, when we got to the border of where this grid coordinates was going to be at, instead of flying treetop level like we normally do, or down the nap of the earth, we're flying up 6,000 feet or greater. We're maxing out, flying up the clouds, and which was very unusual for us, very unusual for American Hueys. And just before we got to where we were going, the pilots kind of dove down, just quickly out of the sky, and for about a mile or two, just skirted around the top of the trees. And there, we finally found there was a little tiny opening in this triple canopy of jungle, where there was an opening the size of our Huey and a little bit extra. Not much. So you had to come down and hover and come on. You couldn't just glide into it. You had to bring to a hover and come right down into this little clearing. And it did give you a lot of wiggle room to get out of there. So we were concerned about having a hot LZ, a landing zone. And so we're always concerned about, getting people shooting at you and everything. So I had my machine guns ready and everything. But we came in so quietly and quickly that we didn't call a lot of attention. We let them off. We took off and we climbed real high again, and we left and went back to where we picked them up to get their supplies. Our concerns was about going back to that LC because obviously somebody must have heard us or seen us coming into there. And if there is going to be a problem, it would be in subsequent resupply missions going into there, because now they know there's somebody inserted. So we get to this base camp and we load up ammunition and food and extra water and even medical supplies. And for some reason, it was two small cases of toilet paper, American toilet paper. I hadn't really seen that out there, but that was kind of interesting. So we're flying, and we're up about 6,000 feet, and I'm bored, and I'm kind of going to sleep, and one thing led to another, and I thought, I wonder what a roll of toilet paper would look like if I threw it out of the helicopter and let it, unravel. Would it unravel the whole length of the? And how long is a roll of toilet paper? Is it hundreds of feet? Is it 1,000 feet? I don't know. So I was curious. So I said, well, they won't miss one roll. So I opened up the box and I took one roll and took about 6 feet of the paper off the beginning of it, kind of crunched it up so it was a little heavy, and then I tossed it out the door of the helicopter. Well, the doors were open. Tossed it out the side of the helicopter, and it starts floating through the sky and unraveling. Very beautiful. It's this big streamer, this white streamer in the sky, and I go, wow, that's cool. Well, that worked good. So one thing kind of led to another, and I decided to do another roll of toilet paper. And it was even more beautiful and spectacular than the first one. And it was sitting there on top of the jungle. It was just a sight that was beautiful. I mean, how often do you get to, toilet paper to another country? It's just, and I go, well, they got a couple of cases here. They won't miss a few. Well, by the time I was about 5 minutes from the LC, I realized that the box was empty, that I had totally thrown every roll of toilet paper from that one case onto the canopy of the jungle. And I had an empty box. Evidence. Whoa. So I took the box, crushed it, threw it out, and it kind of floated on down to the jungle. So when we got to the LZ and we unloaded everything was cool. Nobody said nothing. Took off. We're flying back up, coming back over the same direction that we came in. And a pilot started looking down there and saying, hey, Mac. That was me in the back. What's that down there in the bottom of the jungle? Huh. Oh, you mean all that stuff on? Yeah, it looks like somebody put toilet paper on the top of that triple canopy jungle down there. It's crisscrossing all over the place. And I said, yes, sir, I cannot lie. It's exactly what it looks like to me, too. And he goes, what? Well, how'd that happen? I said, I cannot lie. A case must have accidentally fallen off this aircraft and somehow opened up, and every roll was opened, and it must have just did it. And I could tell the pilot was a little miffed, and then I heard the other pilot laughing and everything. Next thing you know, the pilot says, you realize, McDonald, that this was a secret mission into Cambodia, and now we got American toilet paper that just bombed the heck out of their jungle for about 6 miles. There's like big evidence down there. I said, sir, we're not in Cambodia. We're in grid coordinates so-and-so. And they all laughed and everything. And then the pilot finally goes, okay, McDonald, that's what the report will show. A case accidentally fell out of the helicopter. If anybody asks. If nobody asks, nobody's going to know. And the pilot goes, I pray for rain so it's all gone the next day. So we came back, and we landed, and that is my official story and my rendition and my side of the story of the first unofficial bombing raid of Cambodia during the Vietnam War. And that's the honest to God truth, because I couldn't lie to you.